Clarity Pharmaceuticals is very focused on prostate cancer. I know you're looking at multiple cancers, but prostate cancer is really a leading indication that you're very passionate about. How do TCTs have the potential to help with prostate cancer?
Prostate has, because it's a cancer, right, and it has all the characteristics of a usual cancer. It forms in the prostate and then it metastasizes outside of the prostate. For the clinical treatment of it, what usually happens is if you have rising what's termed PSA, prostate-specific antigen starts rising as a test for a man, and you go in and have a look at your prostate and see if there's any cancers developing there. And if there is, what happens then is surgery is usually the first option, where someone has their prostate removed, right? Which is quite a significant surgery. And the basis of it is, and certainly the concept is that it's curative, right?
The surgery removal.
The surgery. But what we're doing at the moment, we're missing a lot because there's this next stage, that's pre-prostatectomy, this next stage called biochemical recurrence. Right? It's a funny word developed potentially by clinicians. It's not a scientific word because it's not biochemical which causes the recurrence. It's actually cell biology where you've got the cancer moving outside of the prostate and it hasn't been found, right? Outside of the prostate. Now, the treatment options are different for that, right? It's systemic treatment, right? And then when that gets away, you end up with metastatic castrate-resistant prostate cancer. That's later stage cancer. So the main therapy, the options available to you are great diagnostics in the first instance. The cornerstone of better therapies is better diagnostics. If you can see it, then you need to treat it, right?
And the earlier you can see it, the better the potential outcome. The
earlier you see it, and just that you see it, right, in the first instance. Now, what we've got these first wave of diagnostics, right? We call them first generation, where previously actually we had technetium bone scans, which weren't very good at all in trying to pick up metastatic disease, right? And then we've got these PSMA agents, which is the area that we're in. But what we saw with these first generation PSMA agents that use sort of a single target is that and this is through clinical research, and this is the gallium PSMA and the Pylarify product by Lantheus, great products in themselves, and they have very high what's termed specificity. That means if you actually light something up, it has a high probability of it being cancer, 90% plus.
So this is the diagnostic phase where you need a good image.
This is the diagnostic phase because in the first instance, you want to know, is it still in the prostate or is it outside of the prostate? Yep. The issue with these first generation diagnostics, outside of the rather cumbersome supply chains around them, is that the sensitivity is very, very low. And in any other world, so if I step out of my radio farm world and go into other areas of diagnostic, these agents actually fail sensitivity, right? That means, what sensitivity means is that, yes, if you line up something under a PET image, that's high probability of cancer. But if you're not lighting it up, right, that doesn't mean that cancer's not there.
Yeah.
Okay, sensitivity is incredibly important, especially when you're looking at the treatment. So this is making a decision of whether your prostate's going to be whipped out or not. The side effects of prostate removal, like it's not just significant for the man, it's significant for the female as well. So the treatment then, if the treatment's going to be different, if it's outside of the prostate, then you want to have a different treatment option potentially than removing your prostate. Okay.
You want to know what cards you've got in front of you.
You want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And if the current agents aren't picking that up, then that's an issue. Where clarity is different, once again, we looked at these agents, we looked at the single targets, and we developed a single target product, and we saw it behaved exactly like the ones that are currently commercial, in that you don't get a lot of product to the tumor itself. And it washes out very quickly. So you don't get any good ability, even though with gallium fluoride, you can't image over a long period of time anyway, but the washout is quite significant. And so we didn't want to just make the same mistakes as other products, right? So we went back to the drawing board, made a product with two targets, and that achieved two things. One was we increased the amount of product that gets to the tumor 3 times the amount. So we're starting to pick up potentially smaller lesions and those sorts of things when we image in day one. But we found that that product stays there over time. Okay, so that means we can image at later time points. And we've shown previously that if you image at later time points, you can pick up more tumors.
So when you say later time points, do you mean hours, weeks, months?
You can actually image at 1 hour, which is the current standard of care, or you can image at 4 hours, at 24 hours, 48 hours. We've actually gone out to 72 hours with our product, right? And at 48 hours or 24 hours, you have a very different picture of what's going on. And so what we're trying to address is the problem, right? What's the problem with these agents? Not lots of product in the tumor, and they wash out. So what we want is more product in the tumor. Yes, we've addressed that. And then we can image the next day and try and identify more tumors, which is the sensitivity issue.
Because the product stays in the tumor for longer.
Exactly. And we use copper-64, which has a longer half-life. So we're able to tick a lot of boxes now. Now, I know if I had primary prostate cancer, I'd want to know if it's metastasized or not before I have my prostate out, right? If it hasn't metastasized, it's still a big question. Do I want my prostate out or not, given the significant side effects? But if it's outside of the prostate, then why would I head down that road? I'd look for alternative therapies for the primary, and then look at the secondary tumors and how we treat that systemically.
And that's because you're going to need to go down alternative pathways of treatment anyway, and removing the prostate will not change that pathway.
That's exactly right. So you've already got systemic disease, right? And there's other therapy options that you can treat the primary, right? And then you don't have the risks of those significant side effects, right, of surgery. So this is a big step in the treatment of prostate cancer. But where we're moving forward as well is that we always have a therapy option with our products, right? And there was the two things that we wanted to achieve for therapy. When you're looking at treating a cancer, it's what we call area under the curve, right? So we want more product to get into the tumors, and we want it to stay there over time. So those were the two boxes we ticked with a different product, right? So now with copper-67, we can infuse into the patient, obviously, get more product to the tumors and have it stay longer over time. And the plan is, obviously, in our development, we're still working through that process, but to have greater efficacy of these products. And given the half-life of our product, we can actually dose more in a single sitting than the current treatment option. And so we're working through clinical trials now to determine whether we're able to achieve those outcomes of better efficacy, because we need to better treat this patient population.
Yeah, so it's about using the same science to shift from what you're seeing in better imagery to swap that out to become a therapeutic.
That's correct. So we want better diagnostics to fix the problem at the moment around sensitivity. Are there tumors there? Yes or no, is what we're trying to better answer that question, particularly for that big question of, do I have my prostate out, right? Then the second part is, how do we treat it, particularly in late stage disease, metastatic castrate-resistant prostate cancer, which people aren't living a long time with that, right? So how do we better treat that option with radiopharmaceuticals? And as we said, we re-engineered the product to be not only better imaging, but to have more product in the tumor and stays there over time. That's where we are as far as a company is concerned in better treating, that prostate cancer.